I wired the $300,000 at 2:17 a.m., not because I was scared, but because I wanted him to think he had me by the throat, just long enough to feel the blade twist when I yanked it back. My daughter, Lila, was asleep in the next room, oblivious to the fact that her perfect fiancé had just blackmailed her own mother into emptying half my retirement fund over a secret that wasn't even mine to bury. And as the confirmation pinged on my phone, I whispered to the empty air of my Upper East Side apartment, "You beautiful bastard, Ethan." Game on. It started 6 months earlier, back when the world still felt like it had guardrails. Lila had brought him home for Sunday brunch at Sarah Beth's, that cozy spot on the Upper East Side where the pancakes are fluffier than a politician's promise and the mimosas flow like they can wash away bad decisions. She was 28, fresh out of her MBA at Wharton, all wide-eyed optimism and that laugh that could disarm a room full of Wall Street sharks.
"Mom,
meet Ethan Hargrove," she'd said, her hand tucked into his like it was the most natural thing in the world. He was 32, tall and polished, with that Ivy League jawline and a smile that screamed old money, Princeton undergrad, Harvard Law, now a rising star at one of those boutique firms that specialized in asset protection for the 1%. I was Aria Kensington, 54, divorced since Lila was 10, and I'd clawed my way up from a junior copywriter at a Madison Avenue ad agency to VP of strategy at a firm that handled campaigns for big pharma and bigger banks. We weren't Rockefeller rich, but my brownstone co-op and the Roth IRA I'd babysat like a neurotic parent meant I could afford the occasional splurge on Louboutins and a yearly trip to the Hamptons. Ethan charmed the hell out of me that day, talked shop about deregulation like it was foreplay, complimented my vintage Chanel brooch, even asked about Dad, who I'd lost to pancreatic cancer a decade back. "Sounds like he was a real straight shooter," Ethan said, clinking his glass to mine. "The kind of man who'd fight tooth and nail for his family. If only he'd known how right he was. Or maybe he did." By the time the text came 6 months later, "Transfer $300,000 or I'll ruin you," I was already piecing together the rot beneath his Brooks Brothers facade. It wasn't about the money. Not really. It was about the lie I'd carried for 24 years. The one that had cost me my marriage, my peace, and damn near my soul. A lie that Ethan, with his access to every digital skeleton in my closet, had unearthed like a dog digging up a bone. The hook had sunk in deep that brunch. Lila glowed, and for the first time since her father bailed, I let myself believe she might have found someone solid. We did the whole American dream circuit, engagement photos in Central Park with the Bethesda fountain as backdrop, his and hers monogrammed robes from Neiman Marcus. Even a joint bank account she bragged about over FaceTime from their weekend in Napa. "He's got this vision, Mom," she'd gush, twirling her emerald-cut diamond that must have set him back 6 figures. "We're building an empire. Private equity, sustainable tech, real impact stuff." I nodded along, ignoring the faint itch at the back of my neck, the one that whispered, "Too smooth, Arya. Too goddamn perfect." But love makes fools of us all, especially when it's your kids. I threw them a shower at the Polo Bar, Oyster Towers, Veuve Cliquot fountains, a string quartet playing Sinatra. Ethan worked the room like a pro, schmoozing my colleagues from the agency, dropping names from his firm's blue-chip clients. "Arya's the real deal," he'd say, arm around my shoulders. "Raised Lila single-handed. That's tougher than any boardroom battle I've seen." By then, I noticed the cracks. Little things. The way his eyes lingered on the waitstaff's asses a beat too long. The offhand comment about those affirmative action hires clogging up the pipeline when we discussed Lila's diverse friend group. But I chalked it up to nerves, to the pressure of merging families. Hell, I dated worse, a hedge fund guy who ghosted me after I wouldn't sign his prenup NDA. The real unraveling hit on a Tuesday in July. Sweltering heat wave turning Manhattan into a pressure cooker. I'd been at the office late, tweaking a pitch for a opioid crisis PR spin. Ironic, given how many lives we'd managed narratives for when my assistant buzzed me. MS. Kensington. There's a delivery. Priority overnight from Hargrove and Associates. I figure it was wedding swag. Maybe monogrammed cocktail napkins. Instead, it was a manila envelope, unmarked except for my name in crisp laser print. Inside, a USB drive and a single sheet of paper. The note read, "Play this before you decide if you want in on the family secret. Or don't. But know this, Lila deserves the truth. $300,000 wired to the account below by Friday. Or the world gets it too." My hands shook as I slotted the drive into my laptop. The video file loaded slow, the AC humming like a death rattle in the empty conference room. Grainy footage, time-stamped 1999, from a security cam at what looked like a seedy motel off I-95 in Jersey. Me younger, wild-haired, in a thrifted sundress, stumbling out of room 212, blood on my skirt, not mine, and a bundle in my arms that squirmed and wailed. I handed it off to a shadowed figure, took an envelope thick with cash, and vanished into the night like a ghost. 24 years ago. The night that broke me. I'd been 29, fresh off a bad breakup with Lila's dad, Mark, a charming bartender who'd promised forever, but delivered a string of infidelities and one too many bar tabs I covered. Pregnant at 28. No ring. No plan. I'd turned to the only person who'd ever had my back, my older brother.
Tang.
He was deep in the weeds back then, running errands for a crew out of Newark, low-level stuff, boosting cars, fencing knockoffs. But that night, it escalated. A deal gone south. A rival crew ambushing the motel meet. Theo took 3 in the chest protecting the drop, $500,000 in unmarked bills meant for some Colombian connect. I got there too late. Found him gasping on the carpet, blood pooling like spilled Merlot. "Take it, Airy," he'd wheezed, shoving the satchel at me. And the kid, witness.
Get him out.
Raise it right. For me, the kid was maybe 5, wide-eyed terror. Son of the rival boss Theo had just iced in self-defense. No time for cops. No time for mercy. I bundled the boy, grabbed the cash,
And ran.
drove straight to a contact Theo trusted, a crooked social worker who placed him in a foster system that chewed up kids like bubblegum. I kept $200,000 for Lila's future, diapers, daycare, a down payment on stability. The rest? Buried in offshore accounts I'd learned to hide from Mark's prying eyes during our divorce. But the guilt? That festered. I confessed none of it to Mark. Let him think my inheritance from Theo's construction accident was legit. Raised Lila on half-truths. Therapy sessions where I unpacked everything but the body count. And now Ethan, sleek, entitled Ethan, had hacked it all.
How?
A deep dive into my firm's servers? A PI tailing old contacts? The video was public record, buried in a cold case file. But he'd connected so I didn't even know existed. Friday came. I wired the money from a burner account, my heart pounding like a subwoofer at a trap concert. Then I called in sick, poured a double Glenlivet, and started digging. Ethan's firm? Not just asset protection, they were vultures, specializing in reputation management for celebs and CEOs caught with their pants down. Extortion adjacent, if you squinted. His LinkedIn? Spotless. But a reverse image search on his profile pic pulled up a ghost account on a dark web forum, Silverfox87, posting about leveraging family leverage for maximum ROI. By midnight, I had a plan. Not revenge yet.
A game.
The secret game, where I fed him just enough rope to hang himself, while I unraveled his threads one by one. First move, anonymous tip to the SEC about irregular wire transfers from Hargrove and Associates to a Cayman shell company. Nothing traceable, just enough to make his bosses twitch. Lila texted as I hit send. Mom, Ethan's acting weird. Keeps checking his phone. You okay? I replied with a heart emoji, the lie slipping easy as silk. All good, baby. Just navigating the chaos. If only she knew the real storm brewing. The weeks blurred into a fever dream of surveillance and spite. I hired a freelancer from a subreddit, XFed. Cheap rates. No questions to tail Ethan. Turns out, the golden boy had a side hustle, ghostwriting memoirs for disgraced execs, padding them with dirt to leverage for hush money. And his ex, a Vassar Psych major he'd dumped after she wouldn't abort their oops baby. She'd clawed her way back with a custody battle that left him owing alimony to a trust fund she weaponized. But the betrayal cut deeper when I found the email chain. Ethan hadn't just dug up my past, he'd weaponized it against Lila. Screenshots of texts he'd sent her. Babe, your mom's holding out on us. That inheritance?
GDA.
We need to talk. He'd been playing her. 2. Sowing doubt to isolate her. Make her complicit in the squeeze. My girl, doubting me over his silver tongue. That's when the hook twisted. I confronted him, not with fists, but finesse. A late-night chat at his firm's holiday mixer. The kind where champagne flows and indiscretions bloom under twinkling lights. Ethan, I purred, clinking my flute to his. About that little video. Creative editing. But the timestamp's off. 1999?
Please.
Deepfakes are so 2023. His face drained, pale as a ghost in that Tom Ford tux. Arya. What the? Save it. I know about Silverfox87. And the Cayman wires. SEC's got a nose like a bloodhound. I leaned in, breath hot on his ear. But here's the play, you call off the wedding. Quietly. Tell Lila it's cold feet. Career focus. Whatever. And that $300,000? It vanishes like it never was. He laughed. Bitter and brittle. Or what? You go to her? With your motel room murder cover-up? Or I go to the DA. With proof you extorted a confession from a cold case witness. That's RICO territory.
Kid.
And Lila? She sees the real you, the forum posts, the ex's affidavits. Your empire crumbles. He agreed. Of course. Men like him always do when the mirror cracks. But as he slunk away, I felt the first crack in my own armor. Was this justice? Or just trading one lie for another? Lila didn't buy the breakup story for a New York minute. She showed up on my doorstep at dawn, mascara streaked and clutching a half-empty bottle of Pinot Noir like a lifeline.
Mom.
What the hell?
Cold feet?
After the venue deposit? He said you knew something. That you two talked, and... God. Did you scare him off? I pulled her inside, The brownstone's foyer smelling of fresh coffee and the lavender candles I'd lit to steady my nerves. We collapsed on the velvet sectional, her head on my shoulder like when she was little and thunderstorms rattled the windows. "Baby," I said, stroking her hair. "Ethan's a climber."
Good intentions.
Bad timing. "It's not you, it's the pressure." Weddings turn princes into frogs. She sobbed into my blouse. The kind of ugly cry that hollows you out. "But I love him."
Mom.
He made me feel
Seen.
like I wasn't just the girl with the workaholic mother and the absentee dad. Her words landed like shrapnel, dredging up ghosts I'd thought buried. Mark. The charmer who'd bolted when the alimony check started bouncing.
Me.
The provider who'd missed recitals for pitches, birthdays for bonuses. That night, we binged The Crown on Netflix, dissecting royal fuck-ups over takeout from Joe's Pizza, greasy slices folded just right. The way New Yorkers do heartbreak. I almost told her then. The whole rotten truth. The motel.
The blood.
The boy I'd saved by damning myself. But the word stuck.
Tartik.
Instead, I fed her half-truths. Ethan's work stress, a mutual decision. She nodded. Fragile but fierce. The Kensington steel peeking through.
Fine.
If he's out, I'm in.
Full steam on the startup.
You and me. Mom, unstoppable. She was right. We were. For a while. Lila channeled the rage into her app, some AI thing for matching foster kids with mentors. Inspired by her own perfect childhood. She joked bitterly. I pulled strings at the agency. Landed her seed funding from a VC pal who'd owed me since the '08 crash. By Labor Day, we were toasting at the top of the rock. City sprawled below like a glittering promise. To new beginnings, she said, clinking her cosmopolitan to my old-fashioned. No men. No drama, just us. Queens of our concrete jungle. But Ethan? He didn't slink away quiet. Oh no. 2 weeks post-breakup, my inbox lit up with an encrypted zip from an anonymous sender. Silverfox 87 strikes back. Inside, dossiers. Not on me, on Lila. Bank statements showing loans I'd floated her for grad school. Twisted to look like embezzlement. Screenshots of her venting on a private Slack about toxic bosses, my face photoshopped in. And the kicker, a forged email chain. Me confessing to Theo's crew ties. Implicating her as knowing beneficiary. The note attached. You think you won? Wire another $200K. Or Junior gets the full archive. Family sticks together. Right? Rage boiled hot. Bourbon smooth. He'd flip the script. Using my love as leverage. But here's the American beauty of it. In a country built on reinvention. Secrets are currency. And I was flush. I didn't pay. I played. Step 1. The honey trap. I dusted off an old OkCupid profile. Ari Ken's 59. Seeking adventure. Not audited, and catfished him with a bio tailored to his type. Yoga-tone divorcee. Passionate about ethical investing. Profile pic? A stock shot of a brunette in Lululemon. Nothing traceable. He bit within hours. Demang about escaping the rat race over virtual cocktails on Zoom. We met 3 times, me in a wig and filter. Voice modulated low and sultry. He spilled like a confessional, bragged about managing a senator's affair, advising on a Ponzi cleanup. And the gem, his Cayman accounts, routed through a VPN he thought ironclad. I recorded it all, cloud synced to a drive only my lawyer could access. Step 2. The leak. Not to the press, that's sloppy.
Small time.
To his firm's partners. Via a concerned whistleblower, email from a Proton Mail ghost. Attached. Audio clips. Redacted just enough to sting without naming names. By morning, Ethan's corner office was a crime scene of boxed files. His assistant shredding docs like confetti at a funeral. He called me at noon. Voice a razor wire. You bitch. This you're doing? Wouldn't dream of it. Sweetheart, I cooed. Filing my nails at my desk overlooking Bryant Park. Tourists milled below. Oblivious to the knife fight up high. Karma's a flat white, bitter and overpriced. You ruined me. Lila will know everything. Let her. Truth sets you free, Ethan. Or bankrupts you. Your call. He hung up. But the threats kept coming, voicemails laced with venom. Texts promising to expose the Kensington cartel. I blocked, deleted, documented. Filed a restraining order pro forma. The judge, a golf buddy from the Lynx Club, winking as he stamped it. Sounds like a real piece of work. Arya.
Keep your powder dry.
Lila noticed the shift. Of course. Mom.
You're
different. Lighter. Like you won the lottery without telling me. We were at Equinox. Post-Pilates, sweat still beating. Her in neon leggings. Me in black for the power vibe. I shrugged it off, just shedding dead weight. Kiddo, but inside, the guilt gnawed. This game was poisoning me, turning protector into puppeteer. What if she learned I'd played God with her future? That the boy from the motel, now a 29-year-old barista in Brooklyn, per my annual anonymous check-ins, could have been her uncle's legacy. Not a ghost? The controversy brewed when Ethan's ex surfaced. Nadia, the Vassar firebrand, reached out via LinkedIn, heard about the wedding fiasco. Want to compare notes?
Coffee on me.
We met at a hole-in-the-wall in the village. Exposed brick and overpriced lattes. Her with a toddler in tow who finger-painted the tablecloth. She was sharp, unscarred. Divorce had honed her, not broken her. Ethan's pattern, she said, sipping black. Love bomb. Isolate. Extract. With me, it was the kid. With you, mommy dearest.
I showed her the dossier scraps.
She laughed. Dark and delicious. Leverage. He's got a vault, physical, in his safe deposit box at Chase on Park Avenue. Passcode's his dog's birthday. Poor mutt. 041597. That night, I broke. Not legally. Rented a picker from the same subreddit PI. $5,000 cash.
No traces.
We hit the box at 3 a.m. Security cams looped by a favornsp drone feed. Inside, hard drives, burner phones, and a ledger, handwritten, old school, of every mark he'd bled.
Including me.
And Lila, not just the forgeries, but psych evals he'd faked, painting her as unstable, prone to manipulation. For custody, leverage, or just spite, I copied it all. Left the originals. Walked out into the muggy night, Hudson breeze cooling the fire in my veins. This wasn't revenge anymore. It was war. But wars have casualties. Lila found the first leak, a Reddit thread on r/legal advice. Anonymous post. Fiancé extorted my mom, proof inside. Screenshots. Timestamps. The works. She confronted me at brunch. The modern's white tablecloths stark against her fury. You knew. All along.
And you. What?
Blackmailed him back. The air thickened. Silverware clinking like accusations. Lila. It was to protect. Protect? Or control? Jesus. Mom. The motel thing, Theo? You let me think he died in a car wreck. The hook tore free. I did it for you. To give you a life without shadows. Shadows? You're the goddamn eclipse. She stormed out, leaving me with cold eggs Benedict and a bill for two. Ethan struck then. Twist 1. A press release to page 6. Jilted groom sues Kensington heiress for defamation. Lies layered thick, me as the harpy, Lila as pawn. Stocks dipped on my agency's pharma client, whispers in boardrooms about ethical lapses. I countered with the ledger, leaked to ProPublica, redacted for deniability. Wall Street darling's dark side, extortion ring exposed. His firm imploded, partners scattering like roaches. But the backlash? Forums lit up. Feminist icon or vengeful hag. Mom of the year or mob widow. Pundits on CNN debated my moral ambiguity. Therapists on TikTok diagnosing intergenerational trauma. Lila went dark. Radio silence. Blocked numbers. I drove by her Bushwick loft. Lights off. Mailbox stuffed. The game's cost, my daughter. Collateral. Then the call. 4 a.m. Unknown number. Arya?
It's
Jamie. The boy from the motel. Voice gravelly, from years of silence. Nadia reached out. Said you might need perspective. My heart seized. How? Your checks. Trace the routing. Look. I get it, the cover-up. Save my ass. But bearing it? That's not protection. That's prison. He was right. The game had to end. But how? With truth. Or triumph. Perspective hit like a freight train out of Penn Station. Jamie, Dr. James Ruiz now. Adjunct prof at NYU. Specializing in criminal psych. Met me at a dive bar in Hell's Kitchen. The kind where the jukebox spins Springsteen and the whiskey's cheap enough to drown regrets. He was compact. Intense. With Theo's eyes, dark pools that saw through bullshit.
no gray.
Just gratitude laced with grit. You were a kid yourself, he said. Nursing a bud. Trauma Response 101. Freeze. Flee.
Fawn.
You fled with me. Smart. We talked till last call. Neon buzzing like exposed nerves. He knew the headlines. The Reddit wars. Is Arya Kensington a hero or a hypocrite? And didn't judge. Ethan's type? Classic narcissist. Flips alliances like pancakes.
But you?
You're the survivor who survived too much. He slid me a flash drive, his own research, case studies on vigilante justice, the gray zone where law fails and morals fracture. Read it. Before you pull the trigger. I did. Holed up in the brownstone with blackout curtains and a pot of black coffee strong as tar. The files detailed it all, the psychological toll of buried secrets. How revenge cycles devour the avenger. Stats on whistleblowers driven to suicide. Families torn by necessary lies. One quote stuck. In America, justice is a marketplace, bid high or get sold out. Was that me? Auctioning Ethan's soul for my peace? The decision came at dawn. Sunlight slicing through slats like judgment. I called my lawyer, silver-haired shark named Harlan, who'd gotten me through the divorce, and laid it out. Full disclosure. To Lila. To the press. To the feds. Immunity deals. NDAs where I can. But no more games. Harlan whistled low.
Bold. Arya.
Reckless. But hell, it's authentic. I'll tee it up. First, Lila. I drove to Bushwick, rain slicking the streets like oil on water. She buzzed me up, face a mask, puffy eyes, hair in a messy bun, the loft a war zone of pizza boxes and code printouts. What now? Another protection play? I sat on the futon, hands folded like a penitent. The truth. All of it. And I spilled the motel, Theo's last breath, the cash that funded her braces and Brown tuition, the boy, Jamie, and the checks, anonymous lifelines, Ethan's extortion, my counter-blackmail, the leaks that lit the fuse. I thought I was shielding you, but I was scared of losing you to the mess I made. She listened, knees to chest, tears carving tracks. You could have told me. After Dad left. We could have. I don't know. Therapied it out. Yoga retreats in Tulum or some shit.
I know. And I'm sorry.
For the eclipse. A beat. Then she cracked a sob. A laugh.
God. Mom.
You're such a dramatic bitch. We hugged. Bone crush. The kind that mends fractures. But we're okay. Messed up, but okay. The press conference was Harlan's masterpiece, the Pierre's ballroom. Chandeliers dripping like stalactites. Reporters crammed shoulder to shoulder. I stood at the podium in navy Armani, power color. No frills, Lila at my side, hand in mine. 24 years ago, I began, voice steady as a metronome. I made a choice in a moment of chaos. To protect a child. To honor a brother. It cost me truth, but it gave my daughter a future. The full story tumbled out. No varnish. Just facts. The video. The threats. Ethan's ledger. This isn't about villain or victim. It's about accountability in boardrooms, in families, in the shadows we all cast. Questions flew like buckshot. Was it murder? Self-defense. The DA's reviewing. Did you profit? The money built a life. No regrets there. Your daughter, complicit? Lila squeezed my hand.
I'm proud.
Flawed. But fighting. The fallout? A media maelstrom. Fox called me Mafia Mom. MSNBC, Whistleblower Warrior. Substack essays dissected the Kensington conundrum. When does revenge become redemption? Protests outside my agency. Feminists with signs, Mothers Matter. Bros with chants, lock her up.
Ethan?
Indicted on federal wire fraud. Out on bail. Lawyered to the hilt. His flip? Testifying against his firm for a plea. Dragging partners down while painting me as the instigator. She came at me first, he whined to 60 Minutes. Eyes dewy with manufactured remorse. A woman scorned, weaponizing her past. Controversy peaked at the climax, the gala. My agency's holiday bash at the Met. Cloisters wing aglow with medieval tapestries and modern egos. Lila and I arrived arm in arm. Her in ruby Versace that hugged like confidence. Me in black velvet, widow's weeds with edge. Whispers rippled as we worked the room, clients averting eyes, colleagues toasting too loud. Then Ethan sauntered in, uninvited, tux sharp, Nadia on his arm like a trophy of reconciliation. Truce, he mouthed across the crowd, raising a flute. The room tensed, forks hovering over foie gras. Lila stiffened. Ignore him, but I saw the fracture, his eyes on her. Hungry.
Calculating.
A flip again, charm offensive. Positioning as the reformed one. Whispering to donors about forgiveness arcs for his TEDx pitch. I excused myself to the terrace. Hudson glittering below like shattered diamonds. He followed. Of course. Arya. Beautiful night for buried hatchets. Or fresh graves. Wind whipped my hair. City hum a distant roar. You testify. Cut a deal. And what? Play victim? Lila sees through it. He smirked, leaning on the balustrade. Does she? Or does she wonder why her mom's a walking headline? The blood money. The foster kid you farmed out like yesterday's trash. The blade hovered. I could end it, leak the full audio. His gloating confessions. Ruin him utterly.
Or.
Mercy? A deal. His silence for mine. A mutual NDA sealing the vault. You flipped again, I said, voice low thunder. From lover to leech to martyr. What's the endgame? Ethan? Her trust fund? My head. He shrugged, casual as a shrug-off coat. Survival. American as apple pie. You taught me that hiding bodies to build empires. The choice split me, vengeance or velocity.
Push.
And the climax explodes, feds swarm. Headlines scream. Lila caught in shrapnel. Pull back. And we all limp on, scarred but standing. Readers, hell. Me, would argue till dawn. She owed him nothing. He deserved the gutter. Or grace is the real power move. Let karma cash the check. I chose. Both. Handed him a USB doctored. His worst sin scrubbed. Replaced with a joint statement. Mutual misunderstandings resolved privately. Sign it. Walk away clean. Or don't. And we both burn. His eyes narrowed. Weighing. Why? Because no one's all right or wrong.
Not you.
Not me. And Lila? She's the only winner here. He signed. Vanished into the night. The room exhaled as I returned. Lila's brow arched. Truce. Something like it. We danced then slow. To Ella Fitzgerald crooning from the bandstand, mother and daughter. Flawed and fierce. But twists don't die easy. A week later, Jamie called again. Checked the obits. Your brother's rival, the dad whose kid you saved, died in prison. Shank fight. Left a note. Tell the woman from the motel. Thanks for the boy. Clean slate. Catharsis? Or a cruel joke? The secret unburied. But the weight lingered. Clean slates in New York are like parking spots, mythical,
Fleeting.
The holidays hit hard. A blitz of tinsel and tension. Lila and I hosted Christmas at the Brownstone, Jamie as surprise guest. His psych jargon lightening the eggnog-fueled confessions. To fractured families, he toasted, clinking 2 hours. She grilled him gentle. So, Uncle Theo's ghost story. And he spun it soft.
No gore.
Just grit and grace. Your mom's a legend. Saved more than she broke. New Year's at Times Square. We watched the ball drop from a rooftop bar. Champagne fizzing like fresh starts.
Ethan?
Radio silent. His plea deal sealing lips tighter than a socialite's Botox. The media frenzy faded to footnotes. Kensington saga. From scandal to settlement. My agency even spun it positive. Crisis management masterclass. Bonuses rolled in. Lila's app hit beta. Matching its first kid mentor pair by epiphany. But the UM lingered. Shadows in the margins. Anonymous emails trickled. You think it's over? Silver Fox watches. Paranoia? Or prelude? I beefed security cameras. A Glock in the nightstand. Harlan on speed dial. Lila noticed. Called me on it over dim sum in Chinatown. Mom. The game's done. Let it go.
Can't.
Not with him.
She sighed.
Chopsticks poised. Then neither can I. We're in it together, twists and all.
Spring thawed the ice.
But not the debate. Online. The schism raged, podcasts pitting Team Arya, the betrayed badass, against Team Ethan, the system survivor. A viral thread on X was the $300,000 extortion or entrepreneurship.
Discuss.
Comments fractured. She's a monster for covering up a hit. Countered by he's the predator. She just prayed back. No heroes. Just humans clawing for air in the American grind. The real twist dropped in April. Tax season irony. A letter from the DA's office, not indictment, but invitation. Cold case reopened. Theo's file dusted off. Potential witness, it read.
Me.
They wanted details. The rival's deathbed note. The cash trail. Jamie's testimony. Immunity on the table. But truth as currency. I met the lead, Agent Vasquez. No-nonsense Latina with a Brooklyn edge, in a Starbucks off Federal Plaza. Lattes steaming like uneasy truces. MS. Kensington. This could close it. Self-defense for your brother. Restitution for the cruise victims. But it means naming names.
Contact.
The social worker. The weight crushed. Those names? Ghosts I'd protected, lowlifes turn legit. Families shielded from fallout. And the boy, Jamie? Witness. Not suspect. Hero? Maybe. She sipped. Eyes sharp. Your call. Justice or loyalty? Lila decided with me. Over prosciutto paninis at Fico's. Do it. For Theo. For the kid you saved, who saved you back. We testified in May. Wood-paneled courtroom smelling of polish and peril. I took the stand in pearl gray, subtle armor, voice cracking only once, recounting the ambush. Theo's gasp. The bundle in my arms. I ran because staying meant dying. For him. For her. Gesture to Lila in the gallery. Her nod a lifeline. Ethan showed, spectator seats. Face gaunt. Flipping to observer. His eyes met mine, not hate, but hollow. Post-trial. He cornered me in the hall. Suit rumpled. You won.
Clean slate.
Slates crack. Ethan.
But yeah.
Truce holds. He nodded. Ghost of a smile. Tell Lila. I meant the Empire part. Once. Water under the bridge. Drown in it or swim. The verdict. Case closed. Theo exonerated. A plaque in the file for cooperating witness. Restitution fund for victims' kin. $50K from my inheritance. Anonymous. Jamie got a book deal out of it. Motel Shadows. A survivor's reckoning. Dedicated to a who traded her light for mine. Summer solstice. Lila's app launch party at a Soho loft. Fairy lights.
Crafty payosh.
Influencers snapping for the gram. She pulled me aside. Champagne in hand.
Mom. There's someone.
Not Ethan. Real. Messy. But honest. My heart stuttered. Pride.
Pang.
Tell me everything.
But the twist?
As she spilled, barista poet. Tattoos and 10-year dreams. My phone buzzed. Unknown. Congrats on the win. But secrets? They echo. SF87.
Ethan?
Or Echo. I deleted. But the chill settled. The game never fully ends. It evolves. Lurking in the code. We danced anyway, Lila and her poet. Me with Jamie trading barbs on Freud. Fireworks cracked over the skyline. Bursts of red, white, blue. Happy ending?
Abi kikbi?
Readers argue. She freed herself. Caged the cage. Truth?
Both.
In America, revenge isn't a period, it's an ellipsis. Fade to the Hudson's murmur. Secrets stirring beneath.